CMA has put in place for its coaches. And also, I believe there are some guests. So I just want to welcome each and every one of you. Today, we are going to, Noor and I, we're going to be partnering, and today's topic is coaching for performance or performance coaching. And with that, why don't I let you introduce yourself first, Noor?
Yeah, hi, hello everybody, and welcome to our session today. I'm really happy to see some familiar faces here and some new joiners, so welcome to the session. And so I am Noor. For those who don't know me, I am located, can you hear me, Dora? Dora?
Yeah, there's a little bit of disturbance in your connectivity, I think. Now it's okay.
Okay.
Maybe try.
So I am Noor, and I'm a PCC transformative coach. I'm located in Dubai, and I have a lot of passion for this topic today, performance coaching. So yeah, I think that's it for now. I'll pass on to you, Dora, and then we move on with the presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Noor. Yeah, I'm so privileged and honored again to partner with Noor today. So my name is Dora Monti Nelaman, and I'm a coaching certified for coaching students, and I'm really looking forward to today's session. This is the second time that we are doing together, and at a different time. So I think this time works, I think, for most of us. So what we're going to do is we're going to just, why don't we pull up the agenda first, what we're going to cover. So we're going to look at first what makes coaching important, performance coaching important before we go directly into performance coaching. And then we will look at the application of awareness, clarity, and choice, transformative coaching, how that is applied and how does come into play in the real coaching in the real coaching world when we are coaching for performance. And then we will wrap it up with Q&A. Just wanted to, if Noor, your internet connectivity is all right, yeah, would you like to put that Mentimeter, if everyone can see that, if you can just write what comes to your mind when you hear the word performance. And if you're not sure, okay, I think people are already writing. We'll just give it a few more minutes for people to figure out. If you are new to Mentimeter, just click on that link and put the code. Somebody's written on chat, good closure in coaching, all right. Capability, productivity, efficiency, success, feedback, work, development, pressure, yep. Impact, results, of course, high quality, talents development. Yeah, I can see some common topics there. But the big thing that's coming out there is a results, growth, yes, of course. Capacity, capability, culture, achieving plan, yeah. So I think all of those their achievements, yeah, learning. You can see that I think they're all into, I think we can close the Mentimeter. If you can close and come back to the presentation. And if you could just go to the next slide. Yeah. Yeah, I think the word performance, I think it occurs in our daily life many times. And whether we are just a homemaker, I'm not just, whether we are a homemaker or whether we are working in the corporate, whatever role that we are doing, I think performance is always coming up, I think, in our lives. And even today, before, we started this session, for me, it was about performing as a presenter today or as a facilitator in this session. And in the human brain, the way it works is that there can be a lot of chatter that can come and interfere, in our minds, and can take away that potential that is already built in you, that can take you to performance. So whatever that you guys have shared in terms of what performance is, I think it's just all interrelated. So before we look at about the coaching performance, I just wanted to take you back to the ICF definition on what coaching is. Noor, can you just click onto that slide for me? And ICF defines coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. I just want to go back to the basics, to the foundation, where coaching is before we move forward. And what's not on the presentation slide is also, I want to call out, John Whitmer's definition on coaching. How he described coaching is as unlocking people's potential to maximize their own performance. And here I think there are a few key words to note, and those words are all starting with P, that's partnering, potential, and of course performance. So I just wanted to take a moment here, and again on your chat, if you can just type in what comes to your mind when you hear the word partnering. Maybe Noor, if you can see the chat, I cannot see the chat somehow. If you can just call out some of the answers people are giving.
Sure, yeah. So journeying together, supportive, co-creating, that's so fast coming, accountability, mutual benefication, working together, creativity, mutual vulnerability, joint collaboration, transparency, trust.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Growth together, equal, relationship, mutual benefit, cooperate, peer support, working together.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think I can hear some common themes again. And one of the common things that stood out is the word mutual, and understanding, journey. I think those were some of the key themes that that came out. So if we are using this approach of partnership, in coaching, it's a partnership between the client, between the coach and the person that you're coaching. It requires aligning our brain. What does that mean is, you can either choose before you start coaching, or if you're a leader in an organization, before you have that conversation with with the manager or with your employee, we can choose what emotional state of mind you're going to be. Do you want to be in that negative state, or you want to clear out everything first and come for that conversation in a clear slate? So do the clearing with no judgment. And because the brain's prime directive is safety. So whether it's for you as a coach or as a leader, or for the coachee or the client or your employee, we're all looking for safety. Our brain tells us that we need to be safe. And so therefore the initial way of preparing or choosing that emotional state would be to create a safe space for the client or for the person in front of you. And also aligning a brain in a way that we are partnering with a person who in front of us who is smart and who is resourceful, whether he's a client again, or a person or individual, or it could be your child or your employee, that other person in front of you is a human being, who has got certain potential and certain creativity, and that person is whole. Yeah. So you are, or we as coaches, we are not the advisors. We are not being there for them as an expert, but we are being there as a thinking partner. Yeah, maybe you want to sit with that thought for a while. Yeah, we are a thinking partner. We're not an advisor. So what we can do is we can invite them, to decide on specific actions and outcomes, but they choose, the client or the person that you're speaking with, they choose the direction. They clarify the options, they make the decision. So we can never lose the sight that the journey, now the word journey is coming, in this partnership, the journey is theirs to take. And the moment clients feel that you are leading, or you are giving them instructions, then they will resist. They may passively comply, or they might just mentally, check out from the conversation. So remember, your intention is not to fix their problem or make them into someone else, but your purpose is just to broaden their perspective, to find the answers which they probably know all along. So always believe, the third way of looking at aligning a brain is always believing in the potential of the other human being with whom you're having that conversation with, whether it's your manager or your employee, and your child. So when you lose that belief, if it's your client, in your client's ability to discover the way forward on their own, then they are no longer a fully respective partner in the conversation. Yeah, so not believing in your client's potential to solve their problems also shifts the power dynamics, and it will disempower the clients. So we both lose when we give in, to fixing the problem rather than partnering with them and allowing them to come up with their own solutions. So here I just want to give a quick example of myself. A few years ago, when I was still in the corporate, I was hired by a French company, and I was told that, Dora, we want you to teach us how to communicate. You've had many years of experience in communications. We don't know how to communicate, and we want you to come and teach us. I just literally took that word teach as teach. And yes, of course, I did a lot of good stuff. I made a lot of changes. And my boss said, yeah, we want to transform completely how we communicate. And so I did that. But what I didn't do at that time was I was not partnering with them. I was just doing a top-down instruction, like do this, do that. This is the new way of communicating. This is the system that we need to look at. But what I was missing was asking them, what is that that you would like to see change, or how would they like to see change? Where are you at right now, and how can you do differently? So there was no partnering. Of course, new systems work, but transformation could have been sustainable if I was using or taking the coaching approach. So in the hindsight, yes, I regret. I wish I could go back and undo that. But then the better late than never. I got into coaching, and I realized that, and I feel that I could go back and do something to that organization. Yeah, and so that is from my own experience. And again, another example um, of this advising or telling versus using our own ability, our capability, is when we look at the toddlers. I mean, who do you think, how do you think that they have started to learn walking? Did their parents instruct them? Yeah, maybe you all know the answer. Yeah, so that we all have this inbuilt natural learning capability, and and it actually gets disrupted when you receive instructions. So in essence, what I'm trying to share here is that coaching is about partnership, and which again ICF has very nicely mentioned in the definition. It's about collaboration. It's about believing in one's potential. So if you're looking for high performance, it comes out not from receiving instructions, but it comes from an individual's awareness and responsibility. But for a leader or for a coach, in order to achieve this skill, yeah, we need to have certain framework, and we need to have some competencies, and that's what ICF has done again very nicely. There are competencies that we need to have, the markers that we need to have, and we need to have a good framework in order to get into that, in order to understand all of that. And that's what Noor is going to get deep dive into it on the ACC framework, which I'm not going to say much here now. I'm just setting the foundation for her to get into that. And where we will be looking more of how we can create that coaching performance conversation using the awareness, clarity, and choice framework. With that, another fundamental of coaching is, if Noor, you can change the slide for me, is emotional intelligence. Just very quickly, I just wanted to touch upon that. As we talked about partnership, in transformational coaching, transformational coaching is the practice of emotional intelligence. So coaching is not just, it's not merely a technique to be willed out and rigidly applied, just memorizing some of the techniques or competencies as it has been, prescribed for certain situation or circumstance. But it is a way of leading and managing, and also it's a way of treating people, and it's a way of thinking, and it's a way of being. So as a coach, that's what we need to embody, that way of being. And if you're a leader in an organization and aspiring to bring in that coaching culture, that's perhaps something you need to embody as a leader or as a manager. And if you recall, I mean, we don't have time for this exercise, but you can recall who is that person who had made an impact in your life, and what that person do to you or did to you and uh, how you felt after that person did or said to you. I think if I were to look at the results, and the common characteristics will be, I think, the same. It would be somebody who has touched your emotions, who's made you feel happy, or who made you feel like you've been listened to. Yeah, so that comes from our own experience. Maybe you can journal that, write those questions. Who has made that impact in my life, and what did that person say to me, and how that I feel. Maybe it will get clearer for you. So emotional intelligence is the ability to relate to others from a paradigm of trust. So we talked about partnership, and here's coming now that trust. So rather that of fear. And it therefore then sits firmly in that interdependent sector of performance curve, and which will then generate high performance. And if you're a leader and in the corporate, you will realize that most organization in the corporate, it is required. There's a certain degree of emotional intelligence that you need to embody it. And if you were to be like a top performer as a leader, maybe it has to be like 85% that you need to demonstrate, you need to embody that emotional intelligence. So the command, control, and control structure of the traditional management that creates interference, disturbances, distractions, that's not going to enable the person to bring out their potential. Yeah, so there's very little room for potential of human being to come through, and that both performance and enjoyment then will just be very, very low. So therefore the top-down command and control approach is replaced by coaching style of leadership. Then all this distraction will decrease, and potential can emerge, and performance will improve. And as we all know that coaching is all about the journey, and it's nothing is magic, and we just can't be done. Maybe you may think that, yeah, if I just consult and give some instructions, I just get over with it quickly. But it's not like one formula fits for all. It is a journey, and that journey belongs to the coachee, the client. So coaching delivers results in large measures because of that powerful working relationship, that partnership that's created, and also the means of communications that's used with that emotional intelligence put in that conversation. So the coachee does acquire facts and develops new skills and behaviors, but not being told or taught, but by discovering from within, which has been stimulated by coaching. And that takes to another element of performance in an organization, in the corporate, is employee engagement. That's one of the key performance metrics. I mean, you will see that some of the leaders, they cannot grow, or they have been, they're not getting promoted because the 360-degree says that their engagement scores are low. And what does engagement mean? So employee engagement equals to the emotional connection plus the emotional commitment. So only if you have emotional connection, then you will have that commitment to the organization. But for the employee to have that, the leader should be able to embody that trust through the conversation, or through the emotional intelligence that the leader is embodying. And if you look at the Gallup data, and if you're in the corporate, you must be knowing it. If you're in HR, this kind of data, it's highly important and you use it all the time. So it says companies with a high level of engagement, they report 22% higher productivity, according to Gallup data. So if there is engagement, employee engagement, and the connection, emotional connection and commitment of the employees, then it will bring productivity and growth, which means good performance to the organization, at large. And especially in today's scenario where we have millennials as young managers, they're looking more for purpose, they're looking more for meaning. And those managers are not looking for instructions, they're not looking for advisors. What they're looking for a partnership they want to be felt heard. They want to be part of the whole equation. So coaching for performance, as the name suggests, it means of obtaining optimum performance, but one that demands a fundamental change in attitude and in leadership behavior and in organizational structure. So that's in a nutshell, and I just want to, this just a foundation before we get into what kind of framework and it's going to require, what kind of skills, what kind of competencies that we need to put in order to bring in that coaching style of leadership, so that we are able to see that performance as an individual, as a professional, and as an organization at large. Yeah. So with that, over to you, Noor.
Thank you.
Somehow
Thank you so much, Dora. I really appreciate what you say about partnership, and that coaching is a partnership between those two sides, and not only like believe in the client's resourcefulness and believe in their uniqueness, so that each client can be the best version of themselves. They can bring up the best in themselves. So what I'm going to be speaking about next is how can we, so first I will be talking about how we can increase performance. What are the different dimensions we might want to look at to be able to increase performance? And then I will introduce the application of the ACC framework in coaching for performance. And then at the end of the conversation, look in how does the ACC model impact us at a human level, at a being level, and at a performance level. So here, so in this diagram, I just want to make it clear that, so our performance, actually, when we think about performance, what could the two things that we're thinking about is what could hinder performance and what could increase performance. So in our coaching, what we want to be doing is we want to be able to reduce those hindrances, whether external or internal, and enhance the potential of the client so that they can perform at their best. So in terms of external hindrances or obstacles and blocks, and an example of that is something that is not necessarily directly in the control of the client. So for example, if there are financial obstacles for the client, or if why they can't perform is related to someone else, to their boss, or however, even from there, we can find a way for the client to coach, for example, coaching the client on their communication with their boss, on how to find a better way so that they can increase their financial. So this is in terms of external obstacles that not necessarily is within the client's, fully within the client's control. And the internal interferences and hindrances can be, and this is where, I think this is where we see a lot of what stops clients from performing at their best. And it can be at a feeling level such as fears and anxieties, worries, self-doubt, or it can be at a thinking level such as limiting beliefs and assumptions. It can be that the client does not have clarity on the way forward. So all the internal things that are prohibiting the client from moving towards their performance goal. So those are the two aspects that we want to try to minimize. And the two things that we want to expand on is expanding the client's potential. And that is by, so what are the things that that the client can add so that they increase their potential, such as what skills can they learn so that they can move towards their goal, or new tools, extra practice, the things they need to do to enhance their performance. And the last thing is the inner resources and capabilities that the client has. And this is what, when we coach the client, we want to leverage on. We want to make sure that we bring out their strengths, their experiences, their inner abilities, highlight that and leverage on that so that it becomes, so that we maximize that potential so that they can perform at their best. So this slide is just to give a general idea of the things we need to look at. And I would say that in coaching, yes, we do focus, and it is to some extent, the external obstacles and potential is to some extent conscious to the client. So they're conscious about it. And in coaching, we go a little bit more in depth towards coaching on what is internally interfering with them and what are those inner resources that they're not very conscious about. They know they're there, but we want to bring their awareness to the client that yes, you have those strengths, you have those abilities and experiences that can actually expand your way towards your goals. So in our transformative coaching method, we not only try to reduce the obstacles and interferences, we also try to transform those interferences through the learning process that happens in the ACC framework to become inner resources for the client. So we're at the same time reducing and increasing, and that kind of facilitates increasing performance in the long run. I would say it increases it more. Dora, I will pass on the floor for you here to maybe speak about the awareness.
Yeah, just a few words, just few sentences on awareness. Yeah, when we look at awareness, there are different kinds of awareness, but I just wanted to bring attention to the self-awareness. And when the self-awareness is basically when you are able to monitor yourself from within, and when you are aware, what is that I'm doing. And when you know that, and you're able to make some changes, so you're not reacting to something that's happening that you saw or you've been told, but you are responding in the moment. So it's no longer a knee-jerk reaction, but it's the complete awareness of what's happening that moment. So therefore, that awareness piece is so important. Not reacting, but responding. That's all I wanted to highlight here. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I will move into the next slide, which is about goal setting. So when we coach for performance, first thing we want to do is we want to set with the client what performance goal do they want to have. And in terms of that, so as already Dora introduced the word performance, and we heard a lot of, when the word performance is said, we hear a lot of results, action, planning, doing, and that is something very important to focus on in performance. That's the results that the client want to see, or the organization want to see from their employees. So it is important when we set the goals that we look at we have as much clarity as possible on a clear goal, SMART goal. We want to have as much as we can, again, clarity on what the results we're looking for are, the planning towards the goal, KPIs, the progress. So as much as possible, clarity on the goal that we're heading to, the performance goal, and our way towards that goal. And in coaching for performance, we also focus on, at a being level of the client, in terms of what makes that goal so significant, what makes it so important for the client, and what higher purpose does it serve the client. So those two, significance and purpose, actually support the client to be connected to that goal, so that they are more motivated to keep going in achieving that goal. We also ask questions around what opportunities, or expanding the client's mind on what other opportunities does reaching this goal or moving towards this goal open up for them. And more into what is driving them to get to that goal. And expanding the mind on where does that come from? That drive, where does it come from for them? Is it really truly coming from them, or does it satisfy an outside expectation? And also expanding their mind on how are they gonna consider enjoyment in the process. And this is an interesting one, because a lot of the time when I coach clients, I hear, oh, I wanna enjoy this. So their goal is set, their way towards it is set, but what causes sometimes procrastination and demotivation is that they're not enjoying that process or moving towards that goal. So all of these things, when we're coaching in terms of a human being, when we're considering that, we're creating that connection for the client with their higher purpose, where we're helping them stay motivated and keep going to reach their goals. So from here, I will move into the ACC model, which is the framework we use as transformative coaching to coach the clients on reaching their performance goals. So the ACC model is a process of heightening the awareness and deepening the learning. It's a proprietary framework that uses the emerging understanding to create forward action. So the ACC model is created by the founder of CMA, Dr. Ben Coe, and it is based on heightening the client's awareness and deepening the learning to create a sustainable shift for the client. So the way that I would like to just help you kind of envision, and I know a lot of students are here already, did the core training or the advanced or mastery, but the way I like to envision this awareness, clarity, choice is, so imagining the client as a system, and in the awareness phase, we're just supporting the client to see the different parts of the system, becoming aware of that system and the different parts and what's going on in there, and try to zoom in to where is that glitch happening in the system that is not allowing them to move forward. And this is what we do in clarity phase. We take that one thing and zoom into it and support the client to see what is underlying that is not allowing it to function efficiently. And when the client is able to become aware and learn and see where actually that change has to happen, then we kind of support the client to reboot the system now with a new learning. It's like a reconfiguration, reboot, put it in place, put the parts again in the choice conversation, put back the parts, integrating it to the system again, and now restarting the system, seeing how it looks like in action. So now I will go a little bit more in depth in terms of awareness, clarity, and choice. So in the awareness phase, what we want to support the client is to create the space for the client, which is the ICF core competency, trust, and intimacy. So we want to make sure we create that safe space where the client is able to open up and share as open as possible. And we want to support them to determine the focus for the conversation. So here I would like to give an example, for example, of a client that I had who wanted to move from being an employee to an entrepreneur and open up her own startup business. So her performance goal was to open up that company. And we set all the planning towards that goal. So we set the different goals that she wants to achieve towards that goal, such as financial planning, business planning, her speaking, communication skills, networking, all those different things. And we set few things that we want to work on in our coaching sessions together. So one of our sessions was that she wanted to be more confident. And so in the awareness phase, we just open up the space. We allow her to share what makes confidence important for her, using the handles that we know we use in the awareness phase to expand the mind. And in terms of confidence, what is it that she wants to focus on? Where does she need to see that shift in terms of confidence in this conversation? And for her, she really wanted to know what is stopping her. So she needed just some clarity on what is stopping her from being confident when she's communicating or speaking in public, let's say. So again, we want to expand on what makes that important, what makes this confidence important, and how does that relate to that higher performance goal that she's setting. We want to make sure we expand the mind like that. And then in clarity conversation, now we have one thing to work on in this conversation. We want to support the client to look at what is underlying that. So the client's experience comes in a feeling, thinking, or doing level. And for example, here it's at a thinking level. She wants to know why, or have clarity on what is stopping her in terms of reaching that confidence. And exploring more into that, and the ACC conversation, the questions, and the way it's constructed supports the client to move from a logical mind to a creative mind, to a reflective mind. So the process with the questions allows us to support the client to go from logical to reflective, and the tools that we learn, such as metaphors and clean language. And why we want to do that is we want to support the client to reach that resourceful, that source of potential that they have within them, to move from what is conscious to them towards what are they not yet conscious about that they need to become conscious about. And exploring there, for example, we found out that this client specifically kept telling herself that I'm not good enough. And why is she not good enough? Because she's comparing to others all of the time. And she was sharing her experience, giving examples on how she's comparing to others. She was not able to see that this is one thing that was stopping her, actually. So just by reflecting back and being there with the client, she was able to learn something new, become conscious about something that she was kind of doing and not aware of. And from here, we move to the next part of the clarity conversation, where the client discovers a learning, and then it's like an aha moment for the client, where something new emerges for the client, and they're like, yeah, that is it. And there, because they are in that space, where they're at some space where things are, I would say that, I don't know, like they access their inner resource, where there is a lot of potential there. From that same space that they reach, they're able to connect to their inner resources, their strengths. And this is what the coach also tries to bring to surface up for the client, that with this new learning and with those resources that you have, we want to integrate that into a new learning. With that learning, we want to make sure that it's connected to support the client to see how that new learning integrates with their higher purpose that they want to have, and then move into putting it into an action plan. So integrating new learning inside discovery into an action plan. So here we expand the client's mind on what can support them, what other resources can support them, such as the external potential that we've spoken about. Also, what inner resources expand the mind. So how can we increase also that potential? Expand the mind even further and what could stop them and how are they gonna overcome that? And then expand the mind on how they're gonna hold themselves accountable. Because obviously commitment, staying committed is an important part of coaching for performance. And after we integrate all of that into an action plan for the client, the last part is celebration, which is Dora's, the part that Dora enjoys the most. Dora. Yes, right? I mean, it's so important because I would say this is also part of enjoyment, also part of instilling that enjoyment in the process. So how does the ACC transformative approach increase performance? So as I showed in the first diagram, we're reducing whatever is interfering with the client by learning, by becoming aware of what it is that is interfering with them, and then kind of learning how to, like, what is it that they're gonna put in place. So we're not only reducing the noise, however, we're coming up with a new learning. So we're increasing their potential. We're also, just like the tree right there, we're supporting them to increase the external potential and the internal potential by leveraging on it and by expanding the mind on what else they need to put in place to support them. And with that, we're opening opportunities, new opportunities with the new awareness, new clarity that the client gain. We're opening up new ways, new paths for the client with that new conscious level of consciousness. And then integrating all of that into an action plan and putting the client there to move on with their actions towards their goals. And I'll just take a pause here and invite you, Dora, to share with us something.
Thank you, Noor. I mean, you're such a passionate, how to say, an advocate of ACC framework, and I think nobody can explain it better than you do. So thank you. And every time I hear that, you know, I just feel enriched. So thank you. I just wanted to add, or maybe that would be like my concluding remarks here, is something that I read in one of the blogs. I think that was from Marsha Reynolds, about the knowledge Sherpas. So I really like that terminology, and that's why when you put that tree, that picture, the way she explained about that, or rather, you know, she took the insights from John Dewey, who was education reformer, yeah. And he was the one apparently who introduced the reflective inquiry, and that's what we do. You know, we partner with our clients, we listen to their stories that's sitting in the middle brain, and then we coach them. And so we are not just talking to the front part of the brain by injecting or giving instructions, but having that conversation with them. We're having that reflective inquiry because we're reflecting back to the client. So he said that allows, and he used a metaphor of the trees, that allows the client to like climb up to the tree. So it's like climbing up our mind's tree, and be at that vantage point and look at, you know, our own potential. So something that's a subject you can, you know, turn it over in the mind and give it more serious and consecutive consideration instead of making that knee-jerk reaction, but thinking about it. So that's why, coaching, as coaches, we are thinking partners for the clients. And writing on what John Dewey said, apparently a researcher and a very well-known American inventor, let me get his name, Vannevar Bush. Yeah, he brought in that knowledge Sherpas, and he said that yes, one day there will be knowledge Sherpas to help people sort out through their thoughts. And he said that like in 1950 or 1945. But after 50 years, that profession has risen up in numbers. And today, those knowledge Sherpas are none other than the coaches. So that's all I wanted to say as my concluding remarks.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dora. I love that. So yeah, actually, what I just wanted to add after this slide is, so we also need to focus on, we don't only focus on the coaching session, of course, we also need to focus in terms of performance on the progress from one session to another. And it's so important as well to every other session to kind of follow up on what the client has experienced already and what they're learning from that experience. So again, focusing on the learning so that we create that momentum for the client that doesn't pull them back if they experience something that they're not happy with. However, we kind of transform it into a learning opportunity. And this takes me to the next slide is, what impact does self-awareness and learning have on the client? And so this is, I think, what I spoke about is creating that growth mindset for the client. Another thing is that it allows the client to become more creative as they access. We kind of support them to shift from using left brain to using the right brain so that they become more resourceful and creative, and they're able to reach that space that has all that resourcefulness. They learn to become self-managers. They learn to become, as you said, Dora, emotional intelligence is at one part is our kind of duty to build that with the client, and they will learn throughout the process because it's all about becoming aware and learning. So they also will become their own self-managers. They will learn how to self-manage their emotions, their thinking, their situations. And it also gives them a sense of ownership, which also comes with a sense of responsibility. And we're creating the alignment when we're making sure that we integrate all of that with their purpose and what it means for them. So we're supporting the client to believe in themselves, in their uniqueness, in their resourcefulness, and for them to become autonomous and dependent on themselves, independent of others. So it's not like a one-time fix. I want to get this, okay, let me help you through that. No, it's a process of kind of where the client learns how to learn about their own system. So, and with this, how does this impact performance? Of course, we gain clarity on the goals and all the doing stuff. And we're also here supporting the client to have that motivation to stay committed, engaged, and the clarity that I spoke about. So transformative coaching, I would say, is a catalyst for sustainable change. So it's not a one-time answer for something. It might take longer time, however, it's sustainable. And with that, that creates also sustainable performance rather than, okay, I learned how to do this, but I don't know how to do, if it's a little bit different in other situations, I don't know how to do it. However, when there is learning and awareness, it empowers me. I become my own problem solver. And this is what brings me to this picture of the iceberg, where the ACC model, if the top part of the iceberg is what the client is conscious about, and the bottom part is what the client is not yet conscious about. So the ACC model allows the client, it allows for that iceberg to be lifted up. And as that client becomes more conscious about things, so he had the space that he's conscious about becomes extended or maximized, then he's open to more opportunities. Then that increases his potential and his resourcefulness, which allows him to become a better performer. The last slide that I want to go through quickly is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which a lot of us know about. So what is self-actualization? Self-actualization in psychology, a concept regarding the process by which an individual reaches his or her full potential. And it's a journey rather than a destination. So what I love about this is this exactly brings in what makes me so passionate about this topic. And I think it's my own journey that makes me so passionate about coaching people on performance. Because I always felt that I have a lot more to give. There is so much potential within that needs to come out. And this is exactly what I would love to support other people with, to bring in that potential that they believe it's there. And this is our journey towards self-actualization and maybe later transcendence. But what I appreciate also about this, that it's a journey rather than a destination. It's not a one-time fixing thing. And for us, I believe to reach there, there has to be a learning, an ongoing learning process. And for that change to happen little by little, step by step, we need to become aware and conscious of what we're not aware of. And that's what makes me really believe as a transformative coaching is really crucial. And I believe in it personally, in creating that movement for the client towards becoming the best version of themselves. Dora, you like to say something as we close this last slide?
Yeah, I think I just wanted to, I said already my concluding remarks, but yeah, I just want to once again conclude by saying that to all the coaches especially, you know, what an admirable role that you're playing, especially in this chaotic, you know, information loaded world. I think coaching is a great resource to efficiently, you know, navigate all these daily dilemmas and all the interferences that are coming your way of performance, not only for the clients, but ourselves as coaches. But having the skills and the knowledge, you know, being the knowledge Sherpas today, I think we are doing the world good, or you are doing the world, you know, good as a coach. So I just want to say thank you to all the coaches here, or to the would-be coaches, aspiring coaches. The work that you're doing is absolutely admirable. And coaches who uses, again, coming back to that, you know, reflective, or because we do reflect back to the client, right, and making those inquiry as defined by, you know, Dewey, and who do not, you know, follow that command and instruct and control kind of an approach. They're truly thinking partners, and they do help, you know, people to trailblaze their brains. And then ACC conversation can happen only when we yeah, embrace that partnership and be there for the clients completely. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dora. There is a lot of heart there, I have to say.
Yeah, it's coming from the heart.
Yes.
Want to open up for Q&A? I don't know if Ben wants to come in.
Yeah, I think we can just stop the share and invite people in. I know there are people raising their hand. Oh, I didn't stop sharing, sorry. Okay, and I'm gonna bring in the attendees to the panelists so we can interact together. I can see that there are lots of questions, maybe from our faculty. I would invite one or two to share what was interesting for you in this webinar. Meanwhile, I will bring in the attendees to the main room. Okay, I see that someone raised their hand. Yes, it's really difficult to manage the technical part of this.
No, you can just manage it. I will just help you with that.
Yeah, okay. But okay, so Severina, I'll just promote you to panelist so you can ask your question. All right, so yeah, Severina, you're with us now in the main room. I can see you raised your hand. So please, share any comments you have, any questions, what stood out for you, your takeaway. Severina, did you want to ask perhaps or comment on something? You're on mute. Oh, Veronis, you're on mute as well. Oh, you cannot unmute.
I did it for her.
Okay. Sorry
Okay,
about
thank
that.
you. No problem, thank you. Hello, everyone. I found really very fascinating what Dora was saying about, in general, the whole conversation and the presentation. I found it really very interesting. I am, as a professional, I